What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and today I'm with my beautiful wife, Jessica. And we actually got a bunch of questions from you, and so we're just gonna dive into a question and answer to give you an inside look at our life and answer some of the crazy questions that you guys came up with. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. The first question we're gonna jump into, and it's probably one of them we've been asked the most, is who is Jessica? What's her story? Where'd she come from? And then how did you guys meet? So maybe we'll just start with who you are and go from there.
Okay. So I grew up here in Idaho Falls. I dated my husband Tyson in high school. We went to BYU, and then he got into UW in Seattle for dental school. So we lived in Seattle with our two kids, Hanley and William. And I was pregnant with our third when we came to Idaho Falls for Thanksgiving break. Tyson went on a hunting trip with my family. That was one of our family traditions. On this hunting trip, there was a horrible accident that took Tyson's life, took the life of my dad, my brother-in-law Kyle, two of my little brothers, Stockton and Logan, my grandpa, my uncle, my cousin Jake, and his 5-year-old son, Houston. There were 3 survivors, 2 of my cousins, and then my younger brother, Josh. And yeah, so I was halfway through pregnancy when this happened, so I had to give birth to Blakely Ty on my own. And then I lived with my mom and my sister, who was also widowed and pregnant with her third baby at the time. After living with my mom for about a year, I moved into a house on my own, and I just was a single mom for 4 years, just raising kids and trying to figure out grief and moving back from Seattle and what life would look like on my own.
Idaho Falls is a smaller town, and so obviously I heard about the accident. I was actually friends with Tyson's older sister in high school, and so I even attended Tyson's funeral, which was phenomenal. Just a very, very incredible human. Same with Jess's entire family. It was a real hit on our community here in Idaho Falls. After Maddy had passed away, I was in just a really, really hard spot, trying to even make sense of how to do life and if life was even worth making sense of. And some of the help that I got from friends and family was to go and connect with other people in my situation. And so during that time, I'd met with lots of widows and widowers, and Jess was one of those people that I met with. And we always joke about the first time we met because Jess had just figured out how to live life as a widow and was also very, very adamant about not getting remarried. And my head was still spinning. I didn't know what way was up or what the future looked like. But after the first time of meeting with her, it was kind of, like, I hate to say it, but just depressing.
Yeah.
It was very uplifting that she'd found a way to carry the weight of all of the loss and show up for her kids, but also just coming to terms with the fact that there wasn't any good solution or answer life's just super, super hard when you lose the person you love most in this world, and trying to figure out how to just keep going and keep taking steps forward. But then we started meeting more and more, and I think conversations with you really helped me through my grief. And I think to some extent, we both just helped each other, and we're just talking about raising kids as a single parent. And there are lots of things that she'd been through that I was now experiencing. And after meetup after meetup, after phone call after phone call, one thing led to another, and the rest is kind of history.
It was so healing to just share my version of Tyson with you and to just hear your version of Maddy and what made them who they were and how you carry on without them and keeping them alive in your children's lives. And I loved that aspect of our relationship of just, it was such a safe place to talk about Maddy and Tyson.
I think one of the questions was like our dating process and what that looked like. I think really it was just talking about Maddy and Tyson early on and recognizing all the overlap of our goals, our dreams, the way that we wanted to parent, the different things that we struggled with or were concerned about, the things that Maddy and Tyson and, me and Maddy and you and Tyson in our relationships prioritized, and just seeing a lot of overlap and still some differences, but really recognizing, in so many ways a very perfect fit that both of us didn't want to or expect to end up in, that then just really came together perfectly.
Yeah, one of the questions we got asked specifically for me was, you were so adamant about never dating, never remarrying. What changed? And I think for me, I had been adamant about that. I didn't want to date. I didn't want to get remarried because I knew what my marriage had looked like with Tyson. And I knew the example of marriage that I wanted to set for my kids. And I didn't think it would be possible to set that because I never wanted marriage to be a consolation prize or something that you're settling for. I didn't want that example for them. And so as we talked more and more, it became clear that it didn't have to be. It could be something that was just miraculous after the worst thing that could have happened. And so that's really what changed for me, was knowing that I could show my kids what a really great marriage looks like, even after Tyson.
All right, next question. Was it hard for the kids to adjust to having new family members, new mom and new dad?
I think we were pretty lucky with the ages that our kids are at. I remember the very first time we met up. When we left, my kids were so excited and they were like, there are other kids like us. There are kids who have lost a parent. And it's such a sad moment, but it also was so exciting for them to just know there are kids out there like me. And I think that helped bond them pretty quickly.
I think for Ren and Andy too, it was very, very healing because they were asking each other questions and they're having these in-depth conversations about the people in their lives that they'd lost, and they had someone else that they could talk to about it. But also, all of our kids are within literally a 4-year gap, and so they're all so close. They had the same interests. They have personalities that are very different but also very similar. Just to see them gel and to see them pick each other up and have fun. And I think that was another big part that made our dating experience very unique, is we really didn't do a whole lot with just us. And I think that's one thing we've heard from other widows and widowers that's really difficult, is they don't want to introduce their kids to someone new in their life. And for us, we weren't really thinking about dating at all. It was more like our kids can do a play date and we're both just trying to get our bearings straight. So our whole dating process, pretty much everything we did was with the kids. And it was just so fun and healing and energizing. And we saw each other's parenting styles very, very early on. It was really hard to imagine after just a little bit of time the kids not spending a lot of time together or being together as a family.
Well, and they just loved each other so immediately. I remember they couldn't wait to hang out with each other again, and they were always asking, when do we get to see him again? When do we get to see him? And just thinking about all the things they wanted to do in the future, like, oh, wouldn't it be so fun if we went on a trip together or something like that. And I remember too, one day, Ren, I was helping him with something, and he just paused and was like, thank you so much for coming into my life and making it fun again. And it just hit me, and I think that's how all of them really felt, of they could feel how good it was and that it really was better than when we were in the heavy stages of grieving and we were alone parenting them.
We just both really fell in love with each other's kids and all 5 of the kids as a unit. And for as hard as so many other pieces of our life were, the part of blending and us loving the kids and the kids loving us, that part seemed almost too easy.
Yeah. I think it was so fun too to be able to give the kids more by giving them each other. Something Tyson had always hoped for William was that he would have a brother. And after he passed away, that was something I struggled with. It's such a random thought, but I just wanted William to have a brother. And, you know, he has that in Ren, and those two are the best of friends. And I think probably similar for Andy too. I know how much her sister meant to Maddy, and that Andy gets that too, and they're such sweet sisters, you know, brushing each other's hair, and they really just love each other so much.
It's so fun. This kind of segues into the next question that we had picked out, but it says, you both say how much you love and miss your first spouse. How do you get over that? And do you ever feel jealousy with each other's first spouse? And the reason I wanted to go to this one first is there's so many people that are like, how did you move on? How did you get over? How did you? And I don't think they realize that for both of us, those questions like tick us off. Like
Yeah.
and I know people don't have that intention, but you don't. You never move on. You never get over it. You never, like, Maddy and Tyson are a daily/hourly part of our lives, and they always will be. And that was another part of our dating process that just became very apparent, is how important both of us, or how important it was to both of us, to make sure that they are talked about on a regular basis for our kids, that the connections that we find or see in the kids, and they're easy to see. I mean, there's so many things with facial expressions and the way they do things and the way they talk about things where it is a little Maddy or a little Tyson every single day. And I think the reason that we haven't had any issues with jealousy is we both love each other, we love the kids, and we love Maddy and Tyson, and we want to do everything we can to keep them a very present part of our lives and our kids' lives. And because that is such a sacred space and we both understand it so well because of our relationships with Maddy and Tyson, that's made that part very easy, where I can see in other relationships where there isn't that connection, it would be very difficult.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, navigating grief while being newlyweds. I miss Maddy all the time, and Jess misses Tyson all the time. And I hit a point where, especially with our relationship, it's like, hey, I know the kind of life Maddy wants me to live, and it's worth learning to carry this. Not even worth, but was so helpful to learn to carry it with Jess, because she understood, and she was so supportive and so patient, and also had so many good, helpful things to do, and was very, very helpful on anniversaries and birthdays and holidays, and kind of knowing the wave of grief that was coming, and even almost warning me and preparing and helping prep things, and because she'd been living it for 4 going on 5 years. And I think that I almost feel like in some of those things I got to cheat a little bit just because I had her help to do it. And I think we still both have hard days on a semi-regular basis, but we're really good at understanding when you're feeling that and how to work through it and what to do for each other.
I think there was definitely a learning curve of how to show up for each other on the hard days, because I remember in the very beginning, the first few hard days that hit, it was like I'd get hit with sadness and then you'd get hit with sadness too, and then we're both just in this depressed state. But we just learned how we need to support each other and giving each other space to grieve, because any heavy emotion we feel brings up a lot of heavy emotions. And I had to catch up on all the grief you carried of fighting cancer and missing Maddy and everything that your kids missed out on, because I wasn't there for it, but now I'm here. And so I have to catch up on everything that I missed so that I can be what you need and what the kids need. And then same for you too, with, you know, learning about all the people that I lost and that I love and who they are, and just catching up on that too.
Well, I think that's the one part that I don't think either of us realized would be so heavy, is Jess has had to live in a lot of ways through me working through the battle with cancer and the end of Maddy's life, where she was just fighting with everything she had, but suffering so much, and internalize that and grieve it yourself. And for me, I mean, learning about Jess's dad and brothers and family members, and Tyson especially, where I think there's so much of that both of us couldn't have processed with anyone else. And because we used each other to process it, we both had to take on a lot more grief. I think that in and of itself, we really were able to prop each other up a lot more than either of us ever expected, because we both kind of have gained an understanding of that. And that's not to say I'll ever know what Jess has been through and vice versa, but we can be there even better because we've worked through a lot of that even going to therapy or meeting with someone else or even our close family and friends, that the depth of understanding couldn't be there otherwise. So, all right, I want to get out of heavy stuff. Let's pick some other topics. The next question I'm going to hit on, it's kind of a mix of a couple questions. And we already talked about the kids early on, but more of the questions of how are the kids doing now? How have they done blending with each other currently, with sports, school, with parent figures, all of that? How are they handling things currently?
The kids had to go through a lot of big changes. We had to change schools, we had to move houses, and add in new siblings, new parents, all of that. So they went through a lot of big changes, but I am blown away at how good they've done through it all and where they are now, too. I think they're all thriving. They are best friends with each other. They're doing well in school. They love being on the same sports teams and having you as their coach. And it has been so much fun, and I'm just so proud of each of them and so grateful for all of them for where they're at and for trusting us to make this decision.
And it's crazy the amount of hurtful, mean, cruel comments we've gotten on videos. And a lot of them come back to like, how could you guys do this to your kids? And it's just, it's hurtful, but at the same time, it's not. It's almost laughable because of what the kids have done for each other and for us, and how they've all propelled each other. It's all come together to make something just really, really special. And seeing the way that they lift each other up, that they help each other work through things, that they have become best friends, and every single thing that they do, now they've got 4 other siblings that they can look to for an example, that they can get help from. I don't know how many people have 5 kids that just love doing everything with them, but we've tried to travel as much as we can with the kids. We love going to the cabin, going boating, anything that we can do and include them, we want to, because they're all so independent and just good and fun. And so, I don't know, we'll never be able to adequately explain the ways that we've all just shown up for each other, and it's blended so perfectly, not just to get back to a baseline, but to put them in a place that after all that they've been through, we never thought they would be at this quickly.
Yeah, I think too, with all of the kids, they are best friends and all of that, but kind of back to what you said about hurtful comments in people saying, how could you do this to the kids, or they're going to resent you forever. But I just can't see that with any of them, because I was alone for 4 years and I had my kids upset seeing other kids have dads and how badly they wanted that father figure in their life. And I had so many great men who stepped up and who showed up for my kids and for me, but it's just not the same as having a dad. We have seen them begin to thrive again because of this relationship, because of having a dad and a mom. And we're not replacements, and they'll always miss Maddy and Tyson, but we're able to give them something so special because we got remarried. And I don't know, I get emotional thinking about it, but I just couldn't love those 5 any more than I do, and I don't think they could love us any more than they do.
Yeah. Next question, and this also plays a big role, but how has it been with not only our families, but Maddy and Tyson's family? Especially, well, they all have taken something that's so hard and difficult and have shown up just perfectly. And I think that they've given us grace and we've given them grace, but there hasn't been a lot of that needed. And to see the way that they've been able to get to know me and Jess and really accept all 5 kids as theirs early on when we were married, just the kids seeing it, they would be like, hey, like, you don't have pictures of me in your house, and it's like we had just gotten married. And the next time we go over, and there are just pictures everywhere of all 5 of the kids. And holidays, the kids are just spoiled rotten because they have literally 4 grandparents that are just spoiling them rotten and showing up and getting gifts and there for sporting events, just doing whatever they can to support us. And it's hard because our life is crazy and busy, and trying to manage 4 different families and making sure we show up. I'm sure we fall short in lots of ways, but we're so grateful that they've been so good in the way that they've handled things.
Yeah, and even from the very beginning, when you went and met Tyson's family and when I met Maddie's parents, they showed love. I remember Maddie's parents throwing their arms around me and expressing gratitude that I was there. And that is not an easy spot for them to be in. And it was similar too with Tyson's parents. They expressed so much gratitude for you, or to you, for all that, you had done at that point and would continue to do. There was just so much gratitude from them, and they were in a tough spot. And we tried to be considerate of them, but they really have been amazing.
Yeah, and people have asked about this, and it's always weird, the questions people feel comfortable asking, but, what do the kids call Jess and what do they call you? And the kids very quickly switched to calling us mom and dad. They've played around with different names because sometimes it gets confusing when they're talking about Maddy or Tyson or me or Jess. They've got all their different nicknames for how they work that system, but we just kind of let things happen how they did. And the kids switched over to doing that when they felt comfortable, and seeing Maddie's parents and Tyson's parents with something like that, that's just hard. It's got to be hard. And just rolling with it, calling us that, working through it, just being there to support and love the kids and us. I think we have a lot of people that have just done the right thing, and that's made our life a lot easier.
Yeah, and that has been a no pressure thing too for us with what the kids call us. It started out with nicknames like they called you Chandler, and then it moved to Chan Daddy, and then it moved to Dad. And it was funny too because they had their timing of when they could or would start calling us different names. It has been all them and what they feel comfortable with, and now it's very consistently just mom and dad.
All right, the next question is from someone kind of in a similar situation to us, and it says, is there anything you or Chandler did, especially early on, that you're glad you did, or anything that you wish you would have? I feel like I'm slowly coming out of a fog of losing my husband, and I'm kind of desperate to preserve all memories and important things for our girls.
I really wanted to answer this question because it's overwhelming to know that you have little kids who are at an age where they might not have any memories. And so I tried really hard in the beginning to show the videos of Tyson and him interacting with the kids, and to have pictures printed out that they could see. And I remember getting cheap frames and letting them cover their room with pictures of Tyson, and to give them things of his, like sleeping in t-shirts or anything like that, so that they just could feel that ownership and that love for Tyson. Something that I started pretty early on too was every night at bedtime, I would talk to my kids about Tyson and how much he loved them and just remind them of that love. And then I started giving them 2 kisses, and I would say, kiss from mom, kiss from dad. And that is a tradition that every night they still have to have their kiss from mom, kiss from dad. And it's funny too, because a lot of times they'll give a kiss back and they'll say, kiss for mom, kiss for dad, to me. And it's something that has even started with Ren and Andy too. I think they felt a little left out that some kids are getting 2 kisses, but every night when I kiss Ren and Andy, it's kiss for mommy Maddie, kiss for mommy me. And if I don't say it just like that, then
he calls you out.
we're gonna redo it.
I think too, and this is where I just see the very definite impact and how important it is to have a mom and dad. And I want to be so careful in saying that because I know a lot of people are put in a situation where they can't have that. I know you do what you need to, and that can still be such a beautiful thing. But with a lot of the sentimental things and a lot of even the remembering Maddie things and talking about her, Jess has played a huge role to help make sure that Ren and Andy have had that. One of the things that Jess has done is with every holiday or birthday, she's always got something sentimental for Maddie and for Tyson, which the kids kind of expect it, whether it's a picture frame or a snow globe with their pictures in it, or she's had dolls made of pictures where she's found the pictures of Ren or Andy or any of the kids with Maddie or Tyson, and got the outfit that Maddie's in for the doll that then she had personally made for them. And, in the way that we talk a lot about Maddy and Tyson, and we'll remember the stories or hobbies or, favorite things or weird quirks that then when we see them in the kids, we can both be like, hey, that's something Tyson always used to do or Maddie always used to do. And so just making it something that the kids never feel like they can't talk about. They can't ask questions. Jess had made videos for each of the kids of their early life up until Tyson had passed away. And then for Andy and Ren's birthday, she did the same thing. And we worked together to kind of bring all the footage that we could find. So there's a quick, 15, 20-minute video that the kids, anytime they want to, they can go and watch and see some of those fun memories they had with Maddie or Tyson. And so anything you can do to give them a place where if they want to go there, if they want to think about it, if they want to grieve it, if they want to talk about it, it's available. Last question, and this was the most asked question. We did a little poll on both of our
Overwhelmingly,
Instagrams. And
the most asked question.
Lots of people have asked if we are planning on having another kid. And the question, it just kept rolling in and in and in and in.
In so many forms.
And so, are you going to answer this one or am I?
We're not expecting. We don't know.
Yeah, I think that both of us had a point in our lives where we were very confident we weren't going to have any more kids, and that was just where it was. And I would say both of us are at a point where we're not necessarily closed off the idea. We just want to make sure we do what's best for our 5 and our family, and we'll just kind of see what happens.
Yeah. The 5 we have are definitely the priority right now, and this relationship too. And we've got a lot going on, but we're not saying no right now.
Cool. Well, we've talked for a long time. A bunch of the other questions were, what does the YouTube channel look like? Are you going to be doing real estate stuff? Are you going to be doing all the videos you used to do? And the answer is a definitely yes. I'm just going to be including a lot more family stuff because I'm only planning on working 15 to 20 hours a week, if that. In the summers, probably like 1, maybe, because we love going boating and doing all of that stuff. But I'm gonna really try from here moving forward to get a video a week. And we've got lots of exciting properties and deals and different things that I'm gonna be working on. And we'll throw in videos like this with all of that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos.
Like, subscribe.
Thanks, guys.